Can't believe it, but we're already in divisional week in the NFL, the last week of the 2020/2021 regular season. It's just crazy how the year has gone by so quickly. Let's get into all the preview of the big games. Now, remember, all of these games will be playoff implication. So if your team is not in the playoffs or not playing a team that is in the postseason or has a chance, they will not be included. So let's get into it. Steelers versus Browns. This game should be a win for the Browns. The Steelers don't have Ben Roethlisberger playing, and there's been multiple rumors that half their starters won't be playing. So Mason Rudolph going to get the start. There's been some Steeler players they don't know yet. There's been reports that Mike Tomlin hasn't told anybody else who's not playing, and they've just been using their starters. But the Browns need this to officially clinch a playoff berth, or they would have to have a few teams lose. This is a big game for the Browns. And we're also going to see Myles Garrett versus Mason Rudolph part 2. Are there more helmets flying? We'll see. But this is a must-win for the Browns. Steelers are likely not going to be trying because they're to win the AFC North. They're not going to get the top seed. This is the Browns got to win, or will the Browns lose and all the fears from the fans will come true? We'll see what happens, but the Browns should win this game. My prediction, Browns win this one 31-17. Bills versus Dolphins. A game similar to the Steelers and the Browns. This must be a win for the Dolphins. Yes, you don't have Ryan Fitzpatrick, but you got to get the job done. I don't think Josh Allen is going to play. Sean McDermott has kind of not really said much about if he's going to play a starter. I wouldn't see or not. They're likely already clinched the number 2 seed. They're going to likely play. Well, they'd play the Dolphins again if the Dolphins win. So the Dolphins got to get this win, or just have the Colts or one of the other teams like the Ravens and Browns lose, and even the Titans would be huge for them. But the Dolphins got to get the job done because I doubt the Bills play much of their stars. Actually, the Dolphins do win this game, but I think it's closer than we think. I'm going to go ahead and say the Dolphins win 26-19. Ravens versus Bengals. Again, the Ravens are going to need to have all their stars play because if they win, they're officially in the playoffs. They basically control their own destiny. The Bengals have won the last 2 games, so the Bengals are going to be a tough out. The Ravens need to get the job done right away. They can't let the Bengals into the football game. The Steelers did that a few weeks ago, and not a good choice. The Ravens got to win this. Now, if we go deja vu, a few years ago, the Ravens had a chance to make the playoffs, but they lost the last week of the season to the Bengals at home, and the Bills made it instead of them. So let's not have that happen to the Ravens. The Ravens got to get the job done. So the Ravens got to get this done. They need a win, and but they play the Steelers right now, which would be a great game in the playoffs. But the Ravens have been hot the last few weeks, but let's keep it going. This could be a trap game for the Ravens. My opinion, the Ravens win this game 37-16. Cowboys versus the Giants. Again, whoever wins this game has to have the Washington football team lose, because that would put basically if the Cowboys or Giants win and the Washington football team loses, they would clinch the division. One of the 2 teams that wins this game, unless they tie, then the Washington football team officially clinch. The Eagles are officially out of it, but the Cowboys and Giants, they just need to win. And I say the Cowboys get the win, especially if Mike McCarthy starts smashing watermelons or has the players do it for him. They're 2-0 when it happens. So if you're the Cowboys right now, if you're a Cowboys fan, you definitely wanted them to be smashing watermelons. I say the Cowboys win this game. I'm going to say it's a close game. I had a prediction, but now I can't remember. I said the Cowboys win this one 27-21, and they just would have to wait for the Washington football team, but I think the Cowboys get the job done. Falcons versus the Buccaneers. And the Falcons are out of the playoffs. They are done. They're 4-11. They played well with some teams, like they almost beat the Chiefs last week. Couldn't get it done. They missed a field goal. They had a chance to pick off Patrick Mahomes in the end zone. Didn't happen. So it's been a lost season for the Falcons. They're going to have to find a new coach. They're going to find a new GM. That whole team is different. But the Buccaneers have already clinched the division, but they want to get in a better spot. So in my opinion, the Buccaneers get the job done. Tom Brady throws 4 or 5 touchdown passes, similar to what he did in Detroit. They win this one 42-24. Tom Brady is a beast in this game, and the Falcons clinched the number 4th pick in the draft and definitely need a defense. So final score, Buccaneers 42, the Falcons 24. Packers versus Bears. It sounds strange, but I know the Bears are in the playoffs. Despite all the problems with Matt Nagy, Mitchell Trubisky, the defense not trying at all because they're tired of having to do all the work in the offense doing nothing. Matt Nagy, Mitch Trubisky, well, they're probably going to go back one more year if the Bears win this game and make the playoffs, because right now they are, or the Cardinals and Rams lose, one of those two teams loses, or they just tie and the Bears officially clinch. So, well, no, they wouldn't clinch because the Bears would need to win. But basically, the Bears win or the Cardinals and Rams lose, the Bears are in the playoffs. But the Packers, 12-3, strangely enough, they beat the Saints, but they haven't clinched the top spot yet. They already clinched the NFC North for the second straight year and the seventh time in 10 years. But the Packers need to win this game officially to clinch the 1 seed. I don't think the Bears are making the playoffs. I think the Packers get the job done. I don't think it's really that close. I think the Packers win 35-17. Rodgers throws 3 or 4 touchdown passes. Packers officially clinch the top seed in the NFC. Jags versus the Colts. Now, it sounds so strange, but the Colts at 10-5 could miss the playoffs, or could go 11-5, miss the playoffs. The last team that go 11-5 and miss the postseason has to go back to the 2008 Patriots when Tom Brady was out. Matt Castle filled in for him, did a heck of a job, but they couldn't get it done. Couldn't get it done. And we're just, I think, a game out of the playoffs, or even half a game. This is the Jags. They've already clinched the number 1 pick, so the Jags will probably be trying really hard. But that team is just not good at all. Just to say something nice, that Jags team is not good at all. I mean, it's hard to find something nice about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Doug Marone's not going to be there next year. He shouldn't be. They already fired their GM. That team's going to look totally different. They're going to have Trevor Lawrence, likely. But I think the Colts get the job done. It shouldn't be close at all. I can't remember what I had the prediction on my I can't remember. I had the prediction earlier, but I can't remember what the score was. But I'm saying the Colts win this game 37-14. Colts go 11-5 and are hoping that someone loses for them to get back into the playoffs, but it doesn't look very bright right now. Chiefs versus Chargers. Yes, this doesn't seem like it's too much, but it does have playoff implication because, well, technically it does because the Chiefs are in the playoffs right now. They've already clinched the top spot in the AFC, so I doubt any of their starters play. I haven't heard any word yet out of Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill will play or half their defense. But it looks like they probably won or at least just in the first half. The Chargers are 6-9. The Chargers are looking pretty good. Why not just end the season well? Justin Herbert going to throw a few touchdown passes. He's already solidified himself as the AFC offense or as the offensive rookie of the year. I think he could even be a top 10 quarterback. I don't think that'd be a stretch at all. He's a very good quarterback. Even though the Chargers have blown so much leads, I think this guy is so good. He only had 1 or 2 bad games all this year. In his first start ever, he went up against the Chiefs and almost beat him. That's pretty good until Harrison Butker made 3 straight field goals, which was crazy, over 50 yards. But I think the Chargers get it done, especially if half the Chiefs players are out. I think the final score 34-24 Chargers win. Rams versus Cardinals. Now, this is an interesting game as well because both teams, if they lose, they could be out, and likely both teams are not going to be without their quarterback, or going to be without their quarterback. The Rams officially, Jared Goff not playing. It's going to be John Wolford from the AAF, and he led the league in touchdowns until he was disbanded for the Arizona Hotshots. They also re-signed Blake Bortles. That will be interesting because they signed Blake Bortles because he was Jared Goff's backup last year. We'll see. Kyler Murray is still not sure if he's going to play this week. I can't remember the backcourt for the Cardinals, but the Cardinals need Kyler Murray because if they don't, there's a chance to miss the playoffs, but I still think the Bears end up losing. But if the Bears lose and the Cardinals lose, and then the Bears are in the playoffs despite having an 8-8 average record, they'll probably get killed by the Saints and the Seahawks. But this game, so hard to say, but if Kyler Murray plays, and I think he has, the Cardinals get the job done. They win this by a very low score. 17. I had the score, and I can't remember it now, but I think the Cardinals win this game 16-13 over the Rams. Cardinals clinch a playoff berth, and so do the Rams despite the loss. 49ers and Seahawks, and the Niners have nothing to play for. George Kittle is back. I think C.J. Beathard has proved that he's the backup quarterback over Nick Mullins. But the problem is Jimmy Garoppolo going to be with the Niners next year? I don't think he's going to be, but we'll see what happens. The Seahawks still have a chance to clinch the number 1 seed, but if the Packers end up winning, which I think they will, then they'll probably be fighting for the number 2 or 3 seed. And right now I see the Seahawks beating the Niners, but in a close one, 20-17. Russell Wilson has a few mistakes, but he comes up and plays well right at the end, like what Russ does. Let him cook. He'll do that in the last drive. The Seahawks will win the game. They'll officially clinch the number 2 seed because the next game is the Saints versus Panthers, and I think the Panthers upset the Saints. Now, you remember, I know this is a very bold prediction, but remember 2 months ago, the Panthers went into New Orleans and almost beat them. Joey Salai almost made a 65-yard field goal to force overtime. Didn't happen, but I like the Panthers' chances a lot. I said it's going to be a high-scoring game. I said 44-41 earlier, but I don't think it's going to be that high scoring. I'm going to say the Panthers win this game 34-31. Teddy Bridgewater, I know, is if the Panthers have a top 5 or top 8 pick or top 10, they're likely going to, there's reports that they're going to take a quarterback. Why not just beat them here, get out of a top 10 pick or have a late one so they don't have a chance to get a quarterback and they have to keep Bridgewater one more year, which I think that's what the Panthers want to do. They should do that. They owe it to him because, again, Christian McCaffrey only played 3 games this year. Half the receivers were out. Ian Thomas was not impressive as the tight end. The defense couldn't stop anybody. The defensive line is very good, but it's very young. But I think the Panthers take this win. It's a bold prediction, but I think they win 34-31. Titans versus the Texans. Titans win, they're in. Or if they lose, then they go 10-6. They still would make the playoffs, but they wouldn't win the AFC South. I think they would have the 7th seed if the Ravens and the Browns and the Dolphins win. Or actually, I'm trying to think here. I'm not exactly sure how that wins. If they lose and all the teams win, including the Colts, the Titans might be out of a playoff. Yeah, they would be out of the playoffs because every team would go 11-5. That's crazy. And then the Colts would win the division. But the Titans need to win. They're in. They officially clinch the AFC South if they win. But they're playing against the Texans, which the Texans just got beat by the Bengals, so you know that's not great. Titans got to get the win, and I think they do. They officially clinch the AFC South. And they also finally, for the first time in, 4 years, they're no longer 9-7. They're 11-5, or right now they're 10-5, but I think they get the win. I think it's going to be somewhat of a high-scoring game, but I think the Titans win 35-24 over the Texans. Tennessee gets the job done. Derrick Henry rushing for over 100 yards, and for the second consecutive year, wins the rushing title. Actually, it'd be the second straight year. He's the first player to do it since LT did it back in 2006 and 2007, as someone running for the rushing title for 2 straight years. And the last game, Washington football team versus the Eagles. The Washington football team have been through a lot this year. Somehow are in the chance to win a playoff game, but they're starting, if Alex Smith isn't back, practice squad quarterback Tyler Heineke. Because Dwayne Haskins was cut, they're going to go with Tyler Heineke if Alex Smith is not good, which doesn't look too promising if you're the football team. The Eagles are just trying to play spoiler here. It's a Sunday night football game. Jalen Hurts, his 4th start. He's looked pretty impressive in his first 3. He's 1-2 as a starting quarterback. Again, I got another bold prediction. I think the Eagles get the job done. 34-20. Yes, that means the Cowboys, if they end up beating the Giants, they are the division title champions. It's crazy. The Cowboys, if they did get to make the playoffs, they'd be 6-10. They'd be the worst team to ever make it. But remember, teams with losing records, the 7-9 Seahawks in 2010 and the 7-8-1 Panthers in 2015, they're 2-0 altogether. It's going to be 3-0. But yes, the Eagles get the job done. 34-20. Tyler Heineke's not ready for prime time, and Jalen Hurts gets a second start. It's a great way to end the season at 2-2. Again, it's a bold prediction, but I think I think the Eagles get the job done, beating the Washington football team 34-20. Thanks for listening to the Sports Town Podcast, or the STP Pod for short. You can find us on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and much more. We release new episodes every Wednesday and Friday. Also, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Sports Town Podcast. If you want to check out more videos of the Sports Town Podcast, click on the left. If you want to subscribe to the channel, click on the right.